But John, I kick it to you. What's going on with this series, Lakers versus Warriors?
What a big win last night for the Lakers. You go up, you dominate on your home floor, 30-point victory. And what really stood out early was D'Angelo Russell came in, guys, and he just couldn't miss the first four possessions. And from that point, the game was always in Los Angeles' favor. You know, LeBron didn't score in the first quarter, but later on in the game, he had 13 points in this one transition and got going in that area of the floor where, look, this Lakers team at their ceiling's probably the best team in the Western Conference. Anthony Davis defensively is one of the most dominant rim protectors and enforcers we've ever seen, right? But the element for the Lakers that's always been unknown was the supporting cast from the perimeter on offense. You look at D'Lo, and he kind of is a wild card. But over the last four games, he started to play. Now, this is 2-3 really good playoff games. And the question with D'Angelo is never his high-end outcome, how well he can play at the peak of it, because he's top 10, top 12 point guard, one of the better players at the position when he's hitting. The question was when D'Lo's not playing well. And it kind of felt like versus Memphis, he got that out the way and the play-in tournament too. But now for the Lakers, D'Lo's starting to turn on at the perfect time. And then you look at that bench. One thing Darvin Ham finally did yesterday, I don't know why he took him out the rotation, was put Lonnie Walker back in. He came in, and his 24 minutes was a plus 10. He was great in transition. He brings in that speed. I honestly think he's a better player for the rotation than Troy Brown, who is the better defender than Lonnie. But I really like for this Los Angeles team, knowing Golden State wants to beat them in transition, but then giving them the reverse actually, we want to play more in transition. And we're going to put Lonnie Walker out there. And with Austin Reeves having his worst playoff game so far last night, he was still the highest player in their team in plus minus, but he didn't make a single shot in the first couple of quarters. It ultimately came down to that Lakers bench giving the spark that they needed. And yesterday for the Warriors was probably the worst game you'll see them play. 29% from three-point range is uncharacteristic, but the Warriors are going to have games in series where the bench doesn't come to play, Steph Curry's got too much on his plate, and Draymond Green's not setting the tone. And yesterday was a bad Draymond Green game, another one. And game two is much better. I think the ultimate thing here is, guys, Draymond has to be much better in this series for the Warriors to win because you can't really play two bigs versus the Lakers. Anthony Davis is then going to sit in the paint. And they've tried this JaMychal Green thing, which worked for 12 minutes in game two. But then yesterday we saw, oh, wait, you can't actually start JaMychal Green consistently in the playoffs. So I'll give you a couple of good games maybe, but he's not a reliable starter. And his floor spacing, he went, let me guess, I think he went 1 of 4 yesterday. Yeah, he went 0 of 3 from three-point range in his 11 minutes. They quickly went away from it because defensively he's not ideal either. So the ultimate X factor for Golden State, and the reason I have Golden State still winning the series is because Draymond Green will play better. Defensively, I think he will step up. He's one of the best matchups for Draymond in the NBA. I don't care if he's 5 inches shorter. He's got the wingspan and the girth to him. He's also just one of the smartest defenders in the post. They're going to really, I think for the Lakers, they're going to be forced to consistently hit mid-range shots. And while they were playing a lot better yesterday, they're making their shots in the mid-range area, and LeBron's getting out in transition. The Lakers also shot 48%, 15 of 31 from three-point range. And I don't expect that to continue, right? Last night for me might be the last game. It's not a hot take to say that last night might be the last win the Lakers get in the series, maybe. But I'm still really high on this Golden State team. I don't think the Lakers will consistently play this well off of LeBron. I'm expecting Steph Curry to have himself a much better night than he did in Game 3.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, John. I don't think what we saw from the Warriors last night is what we're going to see the rest of the way. A team that shoots so much, they're going to have some off nights. Like you said, when Steph has to shoulder the load, sometimes it's not going to go well for you. But I did mention before in our last episode that AD is the X factor for the Lakers. Straight up, he's the X factor. And if he's on, the Lakers will win games. And the one game that he's been off, they did lose. And AD is lucky that there was so much going on in sports that nobody was out there to critique him for his crappy-ass game that he played. But he brought it in Game 3, Lakers up 2-1. But my question to you guys is, this is the first time that we're seeing a postseason where LeBron isn't the primary handler of the ball. Like, he's not going out there trying to score 30 points a game right now. This is a different version of LeBron that we're seeing in the postseason. Can the Lakers win with LeBron being like that?
Well, I think that is what this Lakers team has kind of tried to build around is LeBron off ball. What they've tried this entire time. I mean, if you remember in the bubble, it was Rajon Rondo really took a lot of pressure off LeBron James as the primary ball handler and initiator of the offense. Because LeBron, in his older years, he has always wanted to get off the ball a little bit, take his breath, take some breaks, get those knees healthier, and take your quote unquote timeouts throughout the sequence of the game, which the veterans really know how to do very well. Can they be successful? I think the playoffs is kind of your asked and answered part of this, because I was literally going to come out here and say, listen, man, I think it's pretty obvious the Lakers go as AD goes. You spoke on it. It goes to the last series. Every odd game or every other game, AD would have a bad game, then he'd have a good game. I know there's 2 games they didn't play well. I think it was game 6 and game 4, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't play particularly well, and they still won.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it goes, if AD's on, they win. If he's not, they lose. So my point is to say all that is the biggest threat to the Lakers' success this playoffs is Anthony Davis. Because on the other side as well, it's a double-edged sword. The only way they succeed is Anthony Davis. So you ask this question, can they be successful without LeBron as the primary ball handler if Anthony Davis is on 100%? Because I think the question is being ready to be asked, is Anthony Davis the best player on the Los Angeles Lakers? And I think the answer is yes. And
the answer is yes.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that, and I know there's pushback on that, and I get the pushback because Anthony Davis's motor runs not full throttle as you would want it to, right?
I don't
He's
think
also not LeBron James.
LeBron is also and LeBron is, we've seen the ability to drive while it's there in moments. He can't do it as much as he used to.
He's coming off a torn tendon in his foot.
Yes, that too, but also 38, year 20. He wants to be more of a shooter. It's kind of like what Kobe became, Michael became, Magic became later in their careers. They became more shooters. They didn't want to drive and take that contact and that beating every night. It's just too much on your body. So, yeah, I think Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers, and the Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes. And I know John said they shot well from 3 in game 3. They don't shoot the 3 ball very much. You look at it, 44 for Golden State and 31 for the Lakers. The Lakers succeed, and they're at their best when they're creating content creating that too, right? Because they are a big market franchise. They got to sell tickets and whatnot. The Lakers are at their best when they create contact, draw fouls, and are attacking the basket, right? When they're settling for threes, they're not a successful team because they're not a 3-point shooting team. You can look at Vanderbilt's not a good 3-point shooter. LeBron's not. AD's not. It's just
Reeves, Loki is not.
Yeah. So Reeves, Loki. I mean, he's made himself into a better 3-point shooter, but he's still not, knocked down. Yeah. So yeah, and I don't. I think John, you made this point, but if you didn't, the Lakers' defense might be the best in the NBA left. And you spoke. I know you did speak on Anthony. Anthony Davis might be the best defender in the NBA when his motor is running full throttle, because his interior rim protection is next level. How many blocks does he have this playoffs? Over 30, I think already. I think he had 26 in the Memphis series, so I think he's got to have at least 30 now. Anthony Davis, man, I've heard it from the Shaqs to the Charles to the Kennys to the everybody, Stephen A's and Skips and Shannon Sharps, everybody from former players, Hall of Famers, not Hall of Famers, JJ Redick, to sports pundits, historians, fans, whatever. So it's not, listen, everybody's not crazy because we're all saying the same thing. Anthony Davis, your motor runs low. It does. And this is not an insult. This is a fact. Because everybody can't be crazy. Whatever you got to do to be on every game, you got to do it. because
he's still averaging 4 blocks per game right now in the playoffs.
And defensively, I'm going to give him this. Defensively, he has been on basically the entire playoffs. Defensively, he's been on. It's offensively more that he is, takes his steps back and doesn't be as aggressive. It's time to take the bull by the horns. You got to cut, that pushback I was talking about with Anthony Davis? It's time to cut that, AD. You, the person who can do it. Your story's being written right now. You can do that by showing up night in, night out, giving that energy, giving that effort.
It worries me, though, that we have to have conversations about probably at his best is a top 5 player in the NBA. And we got to sit here and talk about his motor, even in the playoffs. That shouldn't even be a thing. We shouldn't be talking about this at all. I feel like with Anthony Davis all on, Lakers win this series in 5 or 6, I'll be honest with you. I straight up believe that he has the power to really take LA the whole way. But if he's not going to bring that every single night, you're leaving your team vulnerable. Now, I don't know if they're doing this where LeBron's taking it easy because he wants to go full throttle in the next round or save it for a potential NBA Finals. But these spots aren't guaranteed to you guys. You still got to go out there and win the series, and you're going up against defending champs. So you can't, like you guys say about Boston, you can't play with your food here. So you go into game 4, you got to win. You got to see that same AD, the one that in game 1 absolutely dominated, the one that in game 3, I think he was only 7 for 10 shooting, didn't get a lot of shots up, but still did his thing. So if he's already doing all the work on the defensive side, if LeBron's not going to go out there and be the assertive version of himself that we're so used to seeing, the pressure's on AD. And to John, your favorite player in the NBA, D'Angelo Russell, stepped up.
Just a little bit. No, he didn't step up.
Who didn't step up?
Another guard the Warriors paid. His name is Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
2 of 9 from the field. That is something you see on the box score. It's far from the worst thing. The eye test is much worse. Defensively, he's been a wallflower for a while, but he's gotten worse this year than that on the floor. The Warriors paid him, I think it was $140 million. Over $100 million. To be the successor to Steph Curry. Steph every year of his career has gotten better. Whereas Jordan Poole this year has really hit a pretty hard bump in the road. And he's coming off an ankle injury, but in order for them to win this series, which I'm expecting them to, he's going to have to get them at least something and not be a total tire fire on both ends of the floor, quite frankly, because he's just not getting it going. He's struggling when it comes against the rim because Anthony Davis was waiting for him. And I expect a lot more out of Jordan because last year they don't win the finals without him. In game 2 or game 3, he has himself 4 3-3s in one half. He gets them a much-needed 2. They won that series by going up 2 on the Celtics. That game 3 was what decided for the Warriors. It's because of Jordan Poole coming off the bench and giving them that spark, and this year it hasn't been there. Up until he gets something consistent off their bench, they're going to have a hard time going far this year. It's why they're a different team. The bench has not been the same. And they miss Otto Porter Jr. a lot, too. Someone that could space the floor and was going to hold up defensively. If they had him right now starting, to be honest with you guys, we'd be looking at this series a lot differently, be way more comfortable because Otto Porter clears to Michael Green in all due respect.
Well, especially defensively, and he's younger. I think they were hoping, again, Kuminga was going to take that jump. I know he had a solid – I think that was probably garbage minutes, to be honest, the stuff he got in that game. But they expected him to be a 3-and-D guy and to take over that role. I do want to give a shout out to Moses Moody. He has played well this playoffs. He's making his shots, and they drafted him to be a 3-and-D guy, and he's he can do that. So I'm not worried about the Warriors. This series I think is going to be nip and tuck. I think it's going 7. I still freaking don't know who the hell I'm going to decide. It's probably going to come down to game 7, and I'll make my decision on game 7 when that game happens. But